To paint a wet into wet sky, this is what I need. 2 brushes so that I can have one for each colour instead of trying to swap them around. So you'll see them as we pass those puddles of colour. They are both hakes. I say hakes, but I have heard it pronounced harkay. I have no idea which is correct. Then ready mixed puddles of paint, in this case raw sienna, a very useful warm sunlight colour, and ultramarine blue, which I like a lot because it's such a great blue for skies and because it does that granulation thing as it dries and adds a special texture all its own. That thing bottom right is a bog roll covered in kitchen towel. I manage the amount of water in my brush by flicking excess water out of it, which is fine outside, not so great inside. So I have this thing which should really have a name, but if it does, I don't know what it is, and it soaks up as much water as I want it to from the brush. And then of course water, plenty of clean water. I use old salad containers. Apart from them being cheap, it stops me from drinking from them as they are nothing like my coffee mug. The paper I'm using is very heavy. It's 425 GSM or 200 pounds. I have taped it here but wouldn't do so again. I'll come back to that. The paper is at an angle so the paint runs down it. I have rested the pad of paper on a kitchen towel to get this angle. This is wet into wet. First a wash of raw sienna. When my brush disappears off screen, it's because it's being dunked in water. I'm adding in more water to dilute the paint as I go down the paper. Then I take my other brush and glide the ultramarine blue over the yellow underneath while it is still wet. Again, using less paint and more water as I go down the paper. I am never at any stage brushing my brush across the paper. I am gliding it across the paper. I am just resting it on the paper enough for the paint to transfer to it, but I am not applying any pressure at all because I don't want to disturb the paint underneath. At the bottom I brush the rill of water off that's collected on the tape so it doesn't decide to merge back into my painting as a bunch of cauliflowers. This sky started life exactly the way we have just painted the sky above, with raw sienna and ultramarine blue and a bit of messing about. Constable painted the sky every day because there is always something to learn.